Our next speaker is Sonny Brar from Fiera Foods. Inspections are something that we've thought about a lot so far this conference. Pam McDonald came in and spoke to CFIA's changing or evolving practices in relation to inspections. Gwen Sitzker of Embassy Ingredients described sort of being audit ready, a phrase that's easy to say, hard to do. And so I'm very excited to introduce Sonny here to talk to us about inspections and audit preparedness. Please, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. All this talk about wine earlier, it's only 10 o'clock in the morning. All right, team, let's get started. Sonny Brar, I work for Fiera Foods. If you don't know what Fiera Foods is, we specialize in baked goods. So donuts, croissants, bagels, and I guaranteed that if you had a croissant or a bagel, it came from us. I also sit on the Ontario Food Protection Association Board of Directors. If you want more information on OFPA, feel free to log into our website. Now, I am going to share some experiences today. I'm going to share some real-life insights, but I'm going to start with a story. Now, some of you I saw in Chicago, and Joseph, I saw you in Atlanta, so you've heard this story before, and you got to listen to it again, because I'm on stage, and you got to listen. This is how it works. So the story goes as follows, and my great-grandfather told me the story, and it's something that I always take myself back to. There's a father. He's been blessed with a beautiful farm. The farm is beautiful. He goes to his daughter. He goes, "Hey, hon, let's go check out the farm together." He goes on his horse. He has his daughter. He's holding her hand. They go through the village. They get to this beautiful farm, blessed. He's looking at his farm. He's like, wow. Suddenly a villager comes. And he's like, sir. And he's like, what's going on? He's like, listen, the village is talking. He's like, what's the village saying? He's like, they're saying, it's kind of weird that you're on a horse and holding your daughter's hand and letting her walk. You're really not a good father. And then he's like, what? So he's not focusing on the farm. Soil, grass, harvest, sunshine, growth. He's focusing on the village. So he goes home, he goes at night, his mind's circling. He's like, I'm better than this. He's not sleeping. The next day he goes to his daughter, hey, hon, we're going to go through the village. We're going to go to the farm. Again, not focusing on the farm. Grabs his daughter. They go on the horse. They go together. They go through the village. They get to the farm. He's observing the beautiful farm. But guess what? Here comes another villager. Sir. And he goes, what's going on? He goes, sir, the village is talking. He's like, what are they saying now? He's like, they're saying, you and your daughter were on the horse? Poor horse. You should be more mindful. So then he's like, what the heck? I can't get it right. Still not focusing on the farm. Third day, he goes, that's it. Tells his daughter, you know what? Let's go through the village. We're going to go through the farm again. So the father and the daughter are holding hands. They're holding the horse's reins. And they go through the village. And they get to the farm. Villager comes running. He's like, sir. And he's like, what? What's going on? He's like, the village is talking. He's like, what's the village saying? The village is saying, again, kind of weird that both of you are holding the horse's reins and walking through the village when you got a horse. Why are you not using the horse? The fourth day, he says to himself, that's it. I'm going to focus on my farm and my farm only. He goes, he gets to his farm. He's looking at his soil, temperature, grass, sunlight, everything, making sure everything's good so he can grow a strong farm. Villager comes. He goes, no, stop right there. And he stopped listening to the village noise, and he started focusing on the farm. Eventually, the farm grew. Beautiful. All right? Beautiful plants, beautiful harvest, beautiful. And he stopped focusing on the village. See, this story, the farm is our plants and our factories. And the villagers is the noise that we got to deal with in QA. All right? If everything's going good, it's always production. If something's going wrong, sometimes it comes down to QA. Yeah, I see a lot of heads nodding. I feel it. I've been doing it for 25 years, and we'll get into real-life stories. See some people laughing. It's good to hear that happens in other organizations, too. We hit production numbers. Way to go, production. QA, they put the item on hold or whatever the case may be. So those are the villagers, the politics. Hey, I'm giving you my resignation today. The stuff that you're dealing with, even if we have leaders in this room, every day. But if my tip number one, and I'll be giving many in the next 25 minutes left today, is the insights that I've always reminded myself is to focus on the farm. If I focus on my plants, you can push all the policies, have all the HACCP programs, which are all very important, but if you lose sight of your plant, your farm, that's where you can have issues. So always focus on the farm. You will have politics. You will have meetings. Are they listening to me? You're in board meetings. You're in meetings with your president, whatever the case might be. You're around the team. Are people even understanding? I don't understand. I'm QA. Why are they not taking me seriously? It's the village. Focus on the farm. So how do we do that? We do inspect. Thank you. We focus by doing inspections. So what does that mean for us? How many here, people in the show of hands, do floor inspections every single day? Not one hand? Oh, 3 hands. Okay. All right. So, one of the things that I always say is always do an inspection every day. Okay? We get inundated with work. I get it. Administrative, we are in our offices, but I want to remind you of and we have young people here too, and people younger in their career. I want to remind you of the importance of being on the floor and doing an inspection. So let's focus on the inspection. You're on the floor. Do not be a QA cop. Be a QA partner. And there's a difference. Now, Sonny, back in, I'm 43 now. When I was 22, Sonny started at IKEA. And yes, Sonny does talk in third person sometimes. Sonny will be doing that today too. But I remember something that happened. And, again, people in Atlanta, Chicago, that have heard me speak. I choked up a little bit last time when I said this, but it's a great example, especially for the people that are newer in their career in food safety. So I'm young Sonny, 22, I'm QA, and I'm looking for violations, right? Violation, who's doing something bad? Oh, hair nets. Did you do your temperature check? Hey, let me see the metal detectors. Is the allergen program being followed? But I'm going to keep this example simple. This is exactly what happened. So I'm young Sonny, and I see this woman, and she has nail polish on. Okay? So against GMP. So I got super excited, right? Found a violation. The fact that people are laughing tells me that you do this, okay? And I'm like, yes, violation. I'm like, hey, Christine, nail polish, you getting written up. All right? Went to HR. What's the point of having policies? Christine has to be written up. Get her written up. HR listened. She got a suspension. 20 years with the company. 2 weeks later, she comes to my office, knocks on my door, and says, just want to let you know I resigned today because of you. She said this to me. And I said, what? She's like, no, I've been working here for 20 years. I've been to work every day on time. I've produced. I've never missed one day of work. You come in here over nail polish in the company and you give me a suspension? I have my pride. I don't need this. I learned a big lesson. See, what I did there and what I'm trying to give you lessons today, and I'm sure some of you know this for those of you that don't, I'm humbled. I've worked for IKEA, corporate, Sobeys, Maple Leaf Foods, Toys R Us, and Babies R Us. And before you ask, yes, Toys R Us does have confectionery, candy, baby food, and baby formula. But the lesson that I learned is the difference between a QA cop and a QA partner, or a food safety cop and a food safety partner. So, what would you do now? What should you do now? What must you do now? Hey, Christine, how's it going? Hey, come here for a sec. Listen, you're supervisor, but this doesn't matter what the role is. You're wearing nail polish, Christine. Oh, Sonny, I was at a wedding yesterday. Oh, slipped my mind, totally forgot. Christine, I get it. I see the lines kind of light. Yeah, Sonny, 6 people called in sick today. Oh, wow. You know what? You're a rock star. You're running the lines and you're doing this, way to go. But listen, you got to make sure you don't wear nail polish. I need you to go into our manager's office. Please make sure that you use nail polish remover, put on gloves, whatever your policies or procedures may be. I'm going to write this down in my book, but I'm confident it won't happen again. I got you. Good. Okay? I still wrote it down. What did I do there? I built that relationship. And this is something I feel has really a gap in QA and compliance, is we're so focused on finding the violation and holding people. Now listen, don't get me wrong, if things are fraudulent and documentation and temperature checks undone properly, or something goes through a metal detector and they put it through, those are all very important. But when it comes to inspections, team, I want to remind everyone that you can build that relationship. Because at the end of the day, you want to, I've said this before, I don't need apologies. The best apology to me is the change in behavior. Right? So ensuring that. So build that. So doing inspections. One of my teams here today at this event, one thing that I want to give a tip on is do inspections every day and make it mandatory. Okay? So my team knows they got to hit the floor every day. You can push all the policies, all the programs, everything happens on the floor. The other point, when you're doing inspections, don't just be QA or food safety. Change them up. All right? Now, our director's here today. He knows this. We every single month, our president does an inspection with our chief engineer. Our lawyer does inspections on the floor. Like, it's awesome. Lawyer gets suited up. He goes on the floor and he tries to find. And you'd be very, very surprised on what they see and what we don't see, right? Because we're so focused on the line. Hey, did you do your pre-operational inspection? Hey, is that access to a moving part less than 36 inches as required in Ontario? Whatever the case may be. But then perspective. I remember my first inspection that I did with our president. Her name's Carmela. And she couldn't be here today, but nonetheless, it's being recorded. I'm going to send this to her. Is we're on the floor, and then she's just like, hey, Sonny, I was in the woman's washroom. I saw that there was dirt by the vent and the fans, and I was like, oh, Carmela, thank you. So it'd be different perspective. So change it up. Don't just have QA and food safety doing inspections in your workplaces. Actually change it up. Have your CFO in there. Do it once a month. Do cross. All right? Have CFOs, have your production inspecting shipping and receiving, inspecting production. They learn that knowledge, but do cross. Don't just have QA and food safety. Now, that's an inspection. What's the difference between an inspection and an audit? An inspection is just that. You're on the floor, and you're inspecting that time and live. But an audit, to me, is three things, right? Documentation, observations, interviews. Documentation, show me that you have your HACCP programs, you're doing your training, all right? I can see the food safety commitment. I can see your temperature logs. Is everything inspect, min, max, target, whatever the case may be. The audit is going through deep, right? Documentation, observations, and interviews. So, routine checks are very important, team. Everyone does inspections. Do not get complacent and build that relationship. How many people here are their management team or whoever, their objectives or KPIs, food safety is part of the KPI objectives? You are held accountable. Wow. Oh, wow. I did not expect that many hands to go up. So that's almost half the room. That's important. How are you going to hold people accountable? This is the one thing that I started in several organizations that I went to. I asked them, can I see the KPIs for the leaders? And if it's all production, sales, well, where's food safety in that? But doing routine checks and making sure that it works. So an acronym that I use is RACER. All right? Recognize, assess, control, evaluate, reevaluate. Recognize, feel free to take pictures, team. Recognize that we have an issue. I have an issue with one of our departments. They're not doing temperature checks properly, whatever the case may be. You assess it. Why are they not? Because they're being pushed on production. They don't have time. And their leader doesn't care because they want to push. Control it, okay? Hey, you have to do this. This is the important. You train your workers. You get it done. You evaluate that it's working, and then you reevaluate. So RACER. Make sure you're consistent, and make sure you also hold people accountable where needed. I cannot stress the fact, if your go-to, and especially for leaders here, in meetings with your teams, is recall, and people can die, which is all very true and important, but you also got to be a business partner, okay? So when you're doing inspections, it's how you speak. If you're punitive right away, What are you talking about? I don't care. This is against our policy. You don't listen to food safety. That's it. You're writing emails. You're copying the whole world. You're not building that relationship. Don't forget, you're part of these companies, right, team? Your job, you're not a CFIA. You're not a Health Canada. You're not Ministry of Health or Ministry of Labor. You're part of that family. You're part of that team. How many times do you walk into your plants and people's back get up? Or into your factories? Yeah, exactly. Oh, QA's here. Oh, Sonny's here. I don't want that. I want them to say, Sonny, come here. Look at this belt. Fiber's broken. It's going to get into our food. The maintenance isn't listening. All right? Yes, good. I love when I see the validations. They get it. I get it. Okay, but how many times? You don't want that because that means they get nervous when you're there. And to me, inspection should be flawless. Audit mode. When there's an audit, announced audit, we'll get to unannounced. When there's an audit happening, how do your plants look or your establishments look during audit when you know you're being audited? Fabulous? Fantastic? Does it look like, yeah, you're laughing, I get it. Does it look like that every day? Don't you wish that when the audit and the way the plants look during the audits, that it always looked like that? Yes, but everyone don't know we're being, oh yes, absolutely, food safety, right? Everybody gets it. But that's what you want to get to. Now, something that we do, and again, my QA management team's here too, so it's a repeat for them. We do something called Code 1000s. It's a random code. We just announce it. We say Code 1000. It's our pretend that an auditor is here. Now, unannounced audits, it doesn't matter what audit I'm talking about in the scope, GFSI, FSSC, ISO, BRC. The point is, and there's also a customer now that just wants to do unannounced audits only. I won't say the customer's name. They also want you to have mandatory x-rays. Yeah, it's funny, right? Everywhere I say this, I never say it, but everyone yells it out, okay? Yeah. You know what? But let's be honest. Isn't that the true essence, though? Come and audit me anytime because we're audit ready, right? That's what you truly want in your plants, right? Housekeeping, good maintenance, food, non-food grade lubricants, maintenance rooms are all good to go. Your teams, your training, your documentation, all good. But it's coming, and I'll get to that. But announced audit, it looks great. So we do Code 1000s. It's our practice. We do a department. So we have a department called Baked Bagel. All right? So we'll say Code 1000. Code 1000 means auditors here. And then we will go, and then everyone's getting ready and making sure everything's good. All right? So when a real audit happens, we announce a real, but you're preparing because you also want to be successful when it comes to your audits. Documentation is very important. Okay, how many people, binders and binders, I don't need hands up right now, but binders and binders, environmentally friendly, yes. On your computer, great. Documentation, documentation, documentation. Now, another tip, I block out calendar time to do inspections on the floor. Okay, I look, son, even if it's 30 minutes, I'm on the floor talking to the supervisor, talking to the manager. Another tip, don't just talk about QA. All right, like, hey, how's the line? How's production going today? Are you fully staffed? Build that relationship. You wanted them to be comfortable with you. Sonny, back in the day, when I reflect, people were afraid of me, and I thought I was doing my job well. But the true essence of QA and the true essence of food safety is that it's part of your culture. My first day on the job at Fiera Foods, I've been with them for almost 4 years now. I remember it's myself, my president, one of the owners, and two of my colleagues, SVP of sales and marketing. And Carmela goes, well, Sonny, do you want to tell the team here why food safety is a priority for us? I said, it's not a priority for me. Carmela's looking at me. The look she's giving me is like, where are you going with this? I just hired you. You've been here for 1 day. And I said, it's an equal part of the business. It's just that the safety belt isn't the most important thing on the car. It's a function of the car. Food safety, quality, health and safety, regulatory affairs is just as important as employee engagement. It's just as important as HR, marketing, sales, learning about racial discrimination, sexual harassment, all important. HR is important, health and safety is important, QA is important, sales is important, marketing, our employees, it's all one unit together. And that's what you really got to drive home, is having that type of language when you're on the floors. All right? Listen, QA, it's not an easy job, all right? I am going to just for curiosity's sakes and for me to take back, on a show of hands, has this occurred where sales have gone great and production has gotten kudos, and if something has been held back or there has been an issue, QA's been to blame? It's going to continue to happen. Okay? Yeah, no good news there from Sonny. All right? So the point I'm trying to make is be composed. Okay? When you're doing, even when you're getting feedback from your team. Me being here today isn't just talk about inspections and audits. Like I started off, is to talk about experiences. People give you feedback. Sonny, I didn't like your approach. Sonny, da-da-da-da. Whatever the case may be composed just because you're QA. Because the three things that I live by, and especially when you're talk about holistic perspective, encouraging collaborations, and again, my team knows this, I have three fundamental principles. Shouldn't call them rules, but principles. Principle number one, teamwork. We are all in this together. Okay? Again, QA is not a separate entity of the business. We're a part of the business. Number two is communication. Communicate, all right? Listen, I got production managers and stuff that have been here for 20, 25 years, and they're not, oh, you're not going to tell me how to do my job, Sonny. You're not going to, and I know those, yes, okay, good. Again, I understand those personalities. They take pride, right? But the respect piece, see, you're in a position of authority, right? And that's what Sonny used to think of, right? That cop mentality. But just because you're in a position of authority doesn't mean you can't do it respectfully, right? So again, how you speak to your workers is very key, and how you speaking to your teammates is very key because people see that. Don't be that QA person whose first go-to is punitive. Build that relationship. Own it too, all right? If there's things and feedback that you get, hey, Sonny, I didn't appreciate that your team came, asked me to do ask for all my documentation. There was a customer visit happening right now. That's a large customer. I had to scramble. I had to follow up with QA. That wasn't cool, Sonny. Okay, take that feedback, right? Because team, this is the important thing. What I'm trying to drive home with my last 6 minutes here is build that relationship, build that relationship, build that relationship. Do not be a QA cop, be a QA partner, and people will come to you. That's the most important thing. Now, I recently just got my master's, my MBA. I didn't need it. I did it to build my business acumen, okay? Because it's important that you know how businesses work too. Because we're not just food safety, we're part of the business. And I know there's frustrations in food safety. I know that there's challenges that we go through. But when you're on the floor, looking at the belt line, looking at your CCPs and CPs, whatever they are, like it's interesting, right? Also when you're talking, like food safety people, they can have conversations just acronyms. Right? Oh, GFSI, BRC, FSSC, ISO, oh, CCP, no, CP, right? Everyone's just talking in acronyms, right? And like a production worker's like, what the heck are they talking about, right? And it's okay to, we're going to have some fun as we're wrapping up. But not everyone knows what you're talking about. You're dropping GFSIs and BRCs and FSSCs and HACCP. All our communication is in acronyms. Show that respect to that person. And that's something that I'm going to be closing with. Is team, do inspections every day, be on the floor, have structured inspections. Okay? My team, when you do an inspection, follow up. My team knows you have 24 hours, one business day from the time that you did the inspection to generate and send it, and then 48 hours to follow up with that inspection to make sure. Because I'll tell you what, if you're food safety and you're walking your plants and your facilities and you walk by a violation, right? Let's just say you walked by some pallets and didn't have an allergen label on it. You're like, I don't got time for this. You've now made it exactly acceptable. Right? Oh, Sonny doesn't care. He comes in and da-da-da. So lead by example, but also that approach. I've seen both. Okay? I've seen the negative. Come here, how dare you? What are you doing in your job every day? I don't understand. You're not following QA. This could be recalled, da-da-da. Again, it's your approach. Build it, that positivity, and work with other teams. Hear their feedback. Hey, production manager, why don't you tell me what's your issues? How can I help? Again, being that partner. 4 minutes left. Focus on the farm. Okay, if you were to ask me, I've talked about the importance of doing daily inspections. I've talked about the importance of audit modes. I've talked about code 1000s. I've talked about tips and behaviors. I've talked about how to talk to employees and being respectful. But if I can leave you with this today, out of 25 years of doing this, what you always need to come back to is focus on the farm. Because as long as you stay tunnel focused, you will have your politics, you will have meetings that will not go well, you will be challenged, you will have tough days, especially in food safety and QA. But the magic happens on the floor. And if you're there and you're speaking to the workers and you're engaged, you will be successful, you will do great. Because the most important thing you did was you focused on the farm. Thank you.
That was super impressive, Sonny. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Would you like to take a question? Or if people have questions, do they want to meet you in the hall afterwards?
Yep, for sure. Absolutely.
Go meet Sonny.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Phenomenal.